We're moving on to our third template now. So for this example, I'm going to look at a mid-sized grocery store chain and two different scenarios that this chain may be dealing with. One is standardized interest rates and one is where interest rates are falling. So I'm going to show you how to build this board. I'm going to click Create New Board. We see our pop-up window show up. I'm going to choose my template. This is one AI colleague with two different scenarios. So that's the 0-2 template. I'm going to select that. Then I'm going to give my board a title, mid-size grocery store chain 2 scenarios. I'm going to create my board. Now I'm going to click on this board. So you can see here, this board is set up with a context for scenario 1 and a context for scenario 2. And we see that this is your helpful AI colleague over here. We can put some notes to the right, some notes below that, and we can even store a history of questions and answers, and I will show you how to do that. The other thing I'm going to show you is I have prepared the context for these scenarios already, and I'm going to grab them from a different board. So I'm going to click out of this board. I'm going to click into the grocery store scenario background board. Then I'm going to select context for scenario 1. So I am going to select this card, and you'll see here it is now copied to the clipboard. I'm going to go back to the other board I was in, mid-size grocery store chain 2 scenarios. I'm going to click on this card, which is the context for scenario 1. And I'm going to click on selected cards, and I'm going to copy and paste. I want to leave this card in the other board, and I want to copy and paste that card here. So I will click on copy and paste. There you go. So we have an example of the case study for Fresh Mart grocery stores. There's a company overview here. Fresh Mart is a mid-sized grocery store chain operating 25 stores in the Midwest region of the United States, founded in 1998, has 1,500 people across its stores. It's facing some business challenges, increasing competition. It faces stiff competition from both large national chains like Walmart and Kroger, has some supply chain issues, so the company has experienced disruptions in its supply chain. It requires some technological advancements, the IT infrastructure is outdated, and they have some sustainability goals. So they aim to reduce their carbon footprint and implement more sustainable practices, but lack a clear strategy and the necessary resources. So here I've added context A. There are several suppliers, I'm gonna add the S there, in different countries, and interest rates stay the same. Now I'm going to add the second scenario, which is identical to the first, but I'm going to grab it from that board again. So I'm going to click out of this board. I'm going to go to the board with the scenario background. I'm going to click into it. Now I'm going to click on this card. I'm going to choose this card. You'll see it's now copied to the clipboard. I'm going to go back to the 2 scenarios situation. And I am going to now paste this card in this space by copying and pasting. You can see these scenarios are identical. The only thing that I've done differently is interest rates stay the same, interest rates fall. So now I'm going to ask the generic AI, which you will see it's got context for scenario 1 and context for scenario 2. Let me show you where that comes from. The title here is context for scenario 1 and context for scenario 2. So now the AI has gathered information from both of these lists. So again, these white areas are called lists. These gray areas are called frames. So I go back to my generic AI. I've got context for scenario 1 and context for scenario 2. And what I can do here is I can actually have the output from the AI get captured. So we have a section here called History of Questions and Answers. As you can see, I could add the output to any list, but I'm going to add it to the history of questions and answers by checking on this list. And as a reminder, you can see I can choose different types of AIs, but I'm selecting none. I'd like to work with the generic version of the AI for now. So there we go. So I am going to ask the AI, how can we maintain or increase profits in the coming year? So there's my question. We've added the context as a reminder, and I'm simply going to hit enter, and you'll see a few cool things happen here. Okay, our AI has produced a response, and it says if interest rates stay the same, you can enhance your competitive edge. You've got local partnerships, strengthen relationships with local farmers and producers, provide some unique offerings, optimize your supply chain by diversifying suppliers, doing inventory management, invest in advanced inventory management systems, do the technological upgrades, customer engagement through loyalty programs, marketing campaigns. And then it talks a little bit about sustainability practice, develop and implement a clear sustainability strategy, reducing plastic packaging, optimizing energy usage in stores, and promoting eco-friendly products. And as you're going through this, you may have accomplished some of these things already. You may like some of these ideas. You might want to edit some of these ideas. So the great thing about STS is you can do all of that. You do not have to follow these instructions step by step and perfectly. You have control. You can choose the ideas that you like, and you can edit the ideas if they're close but not quite right, and you can ignore them if you'd like. So I'm going to show you scenario 2. So you'll see a different information related to scenario 2. The AI is now suggesting that you leverage lower interest rate, make some capital investments, take advantage of those lower interest rates, do some debt refinancing, do some competitive strategies with pricing, enhance some of your offerings, so expanding the range of exclusive or high demand products to draw more customers. Supply chain resilience, so do some global sourcing with suppliers in different countries using lower financing costs to invest in supply chain resilience. Technology integration, implement tech solutions that provide better visibility and control over the supply chain. And then sustainability investments, including renewable energy, eco-friendly alternatives. Now it provides some additional recommendations for both scenarios as well. So you might say, okay, we want to focus on supply chain optimization. So you might say, okay, I'm going to grab some of this information from scenario 1, interest rates stay the same. We're going to choose supply chain optimization information, and we'll put that in notes and ideas for section 1. So I'm going to select those cards and I'm going to cut and paste them. And I will call this interest rates stay the same. And then I am going to look at the same information, related information in scenario 2. So I'm going to select scenario 2 here, and I'm going to go towards supply chain resilience because we were talking about the supply chain. So I'm going to select those items there, and I'm going to cut and paste that information by notes and ideas too. And I am going to add interest rates fall. So that gives me some context. I know what this means. So I can copy, paste, type, you can see. And then you might say, oh no, but I've moved things around. I wanted to keep the original. So remember where I added the history of questions and answers? I'll show you how I did that. I selected the generic AI and I chose history of questions and answers. Under select a list where to keep a copy of the answers. So I selected that list. So the copy of every answer is now stored in this list. So if I wanted to go back and track where the information was coming from, I might store that information in this list. And then I can start adding and building on these scenarios here and start investigating supply chain optimization based on the various scenarios of interest rates stay the same and down here interest rates fall. So that gives you a sense of how to use different scenarios. You can obviously add much more information, you can add complexity, and the AI will take that information into account. And ultimately, as you go through the process, the decision is always yours. So you can add more depth. You could potentially have, if you wanted, you could have 5 scenarios and compare all 5 scenarios. You could have complex scenarios and compare complex scenarios, and then still work with your team to make decisions that are relevant to your specific circumstance. And one other element, just as a quick reminder, this is a generic case study, but in this section, you would add information that is specific and relevant to your company, your customer, your client, or your organization. And then the AI would take that information into account. So that is how you run 2 scenarios in STS.